Hi guys, ladies and gentlemen, this is Breaker, and I took a replay from the front page of Drop.sc between two players. One of them I feel is rather infamous because I keep on finding his replays on the front page of Drop.sc. So here's to you, Clarity Saravati, and the other one is going to be IG's Max Said. So without further ado, I'm just going to go ahead and select the region that I'm going to connect to where I've already got my casting set pre-configured, and we're going to get into this replay. And we're at the loading screen, or so we should be. Let's go ahead and hit that. Yep. The map looks like we're on today is going to be Koralskaya Island, LE. Something kind of based off of the something kind of based off of the campaign map. Here we go in the upper right-hand corner, spawning as our Protoss in the red trunks. His name is IG Max Said. I'm not sure when exactly this was uploaded to Drop.sc, but it was definitely within the last 24 hours. And in the lower left-hand corner, Clarity's Saravati. Assuming that's what the C stands for. CG, Clarity Gaming, yeah, I think that's more than likely going to be it. Now, looks like we're going to be having a PvP. It's going to be a mirror matchup, of course. And the one thing that I know that Max Said really likes, along with Jim, I want to say Zootop as well, as they go for something that I like to call Chinese Protoss style in PvT. Essentially, this is where you make a lot of Phoenixes, and they accompany Colossi and the standard, I guess you could say, kind of reminiscent PvT, yeah, PvT, if you will, Wings of Liberty composition. But I'm a little curious as to see how this PvP is going to pan out. I do know that versus versus MVP Lure at the NeoTV Star League, he did manage to take 2 games off of him, but he finally succumbed to the 5th and final game. And that it all came down to the Blink Stalker micro. It was just, it's crazy. But I mean, that just shows what he's like playing against a player of GSL Code A caliber on his own turf. I'm not sure what server this was played on. I wouldn't be surprised to see if it was North America, because of course IG Max Said has been practicing there ever since, and I know that very soon, I believe possibly today even, he should be facing off against a few players in the WCSNA Premier League tonight, if not in the near future. And if he wins that, he's going to make it on to the round of 16. The biggest thing that I feel he has to fear, however, would have to be lag. Definitely lag. Now already, it would appear that we have our probes going out to inspect each other's bases. Max Said is going to arrive at his opponent's main just a little bit sooner than his opponents will arrive at his own main. And already we can see a pylon going down here. I feel this may be to hide tech more than anything else. And Max Said can see that pylon, but nothing else. Both players, again, just going for fairly standard play. I can't really get too deep into the openers. I do remember that Axlav was talking about Zootop versus Quantic State, and I believe Zootop came out in the Premier League once he had won his group. I think he was the guy who won it. I didn't stick around for the last game because unfortunately I was tired, I was busy, and everything else in between. And already we can see that as the probe left his base, Saravati went ahead and threw down a Twilight Council behind this. It looks like the choice tech opener we're going to have from Max Said is going to be Stargate. Now, I can imagine what kind of unit interaction we are going to have. Essentially, we're going to have Saravati cranking out a few stalkers, a few more stalkers above anything else in the early game. Now, it does appear that Max Said did not get the first hit on this stalker, so it's going to immediately run away, but hold on just a second. We do have a Dark Shrine going down as well, so that essentially means that any initial thoughts I had on this are going to be absolutely thwarted. Now, this is entirely going to depend on what we see getting cranked out from the Stargate as the first unit. And an Oracle is the unit of choice. That's exactly what we need to see from Max Said, sort of. It does actually have the power to detect, so it will basically take the role of being the, I guess you could say, observer. But of course, he's going to have to fly it in here and find out just what his opponent is up to. We do have 2 Stalkers waiting over here to greet anything that tries to get into his main. Saravati did manage to send out a probe into the main. It got sniped. It didn't see anything too terribly new, and so he's kind of going into defensive mode while he tries to get those first few DTs out. He's also got a forward pylon right outside of Maxed's main. That's kind of, it's kind of got me sweating just a little bit here. Now, Maxed does see that pylon. He's going to try and get it attacked, but at the same time, we have this Oracle trying to come in here. It's not... Ah, jeez! And there it is. The first few DTs are trying to make their way into the main of Maxed. It doesn't quite work out. He's got one more good force field left to go on this. But what 2 of them can do, and it just happened, is they can turn into an Archon and take down the force fields. The Zealots are trying to make a wall around here, and now we have Maxed. He's not pulling this back. He should be doing that right now. This is the only Oracle that he has so far. Wait a minute. Oh, but he got an Observer out at home. I didn't see that in production. Wow. Oh, that's just absolutely clever, Maxed. You're going to go ahead and send that Oracle back in behind this and do some harass. Photon Overcharge goes down, and this is just burning Mothership energy is really all it's doing, but again, it's keeping Maxed from going in there and making some damage happen. Saravati throws out a T.T. I wonder if he knows who he's playing against. Presently, Hello Kitty SC2 is actually at the Invictus Gaming Training House. Oh, this Oracle is so expensive, has to make kills in order to actually pay for itself. You don't want to throw one of those away, guys. I guess you could say Maxed kind of has a peek on his opponent. Now, what does he know? Okay, so he does see that his opponent is now going for a natural. Maxed's own natural is just a little bit behind. He lost 1 or 2 probes there. I think it wasn't anything too game-ending, but again, we're talking about a mirror matchup. And he is about, yeah, he's got 28 probes, so given the fact that actually, I retract that statement. He actually is pretty far behind. Now, this next engagement is going to entirely depend on unit interaction and just when we see Maxed essentially try to move out. He's got Immortals, but I don't think Immortals are the best tool in the shed versus Archons. Archons are just massive and psionic, so basically Immortals get 0 buffs against them. Meanwhile, we see Maxed adding on 3 more gateways. I'm wondering just what he's going to do with that. Saravati getting Zealot legs, and of course, in the words of Axel Toss, as well as Axelav, this is looking like it could kind of be geared up for a timing. We did see that the Forge was upgrading something earlier, but did he actually get that out? Okay, he did. So it's going to be a +1 Zealot Archon timing attack. This is something very powerful, and there's almost it's one of those things that's extremely difficult to really counter because Immortals don't perform well versus Zealots and Archons. Alright, so the Scouting Phoenix comes in here and sees all of that. We also have relatively little in the way of, I guess you could say, anti-immortal. And we of course have the Cole, going in there and getting some detection thrown down, and a very early third from Saravati. What I say is very early because typically what happens is most units will opt to go ahead and attack at this stage. Colossi now coming into the mix as well, and in the late game, the one thing that matters the most is which player has the most Archons. Sure, Void Rays do well against them, but at the same time, they don't do well against the Stalkers I don't know, the problem is when you're trying to target down Colossi with Void Rays, and you've got a lot of Stalkers shooting at your Void Rays, and it just doesn't quite pan out. So Saravati, again, going for his third, he's going to get this, I feel, and he's got a pretty large, I wouldn't say pretty large supply lead, but army supplies are about even. It's, again, if they were to go head-to-head, it's all going to depend on the unit interaction, and it looks like we have Saravati, no, he's going into defensive position because he can actually be approached by 2 angles at this ramp. Probe over here is going to try and move out and place some proxy pylons all over the map. for the time being, I'm wondering just what Maxed's choice tech is going to be. It's gotten a relatively later Twilight Council compared to his opponent, who may have gotten it about 10 minutes ago. Robo facility going down right now as well. Another one anyway. So it looks like we're going to see Maxed trying to get double Colossi production in the mix. And Maxed sees that his opponent's going, he's got a third. He just doesn't have the infrastructure to support that just yet. Now, one thing that Maxed can do, supposedly, is try and move out, attack the third, snipe it, get out. He's going to end up losing units in that. So the big question is, how will we see Saravati follow that up? And Maxed's just now getting his own +1. Saravati sending out a Phoenix to scout him as well. And he actually has vision of this third. There's a DT going to town at it. And he's gonna... he's just being really annoying, essentially. I never would have imagined. But the proxy pylon's been thwarted. Is there no observer with this army? There is no observer with that army. That's actually quite dangerous. So it looks like this is just a slight mistake that we see from Maxed. Again, mistakes do make or break a game. I guess that's one thing worth mentioning right now, but it looks like just as we see Maxed kind of coming back to defend this, Saravati's going to just loop around here and find an unfavorable engagement position. He's already got an observer of his own right here. Maxed kind of he doesn't want the detection, and right now what we're going to see with the unit interaction is all the zealots on the ground are going to interact with all the zealots on the ground, and right now the zealot, the army count, army supply, everything is just a little bit larger for Saravati. Going to the unit count, however, we've got 9 zealots versus 22 zealots. So this means that all the units that are going to be tanking for the assault on the ground from Maxed are going to be relatively low in number, to say the very least. And finally, Maxed does get an observer of his own with his army. He's going to go ahead and take down this DT, trying to take down the Nexus. Again, it's going to come down to engagement points and everything else of that nature. Both Mothership Cores are at full energy, and here we go! Time Warp goes down first for Saravati. Maxed not quite having a beautiful concave. The Storm's going down on top of the Zealots that are charging forward, and now we see the Archons are slowly powering through this army from Maxed. And this is looking like one of those games, guys. Yeah, there's only one left, and it gets taken down. And with that, we see Maxed GG. Poor guy. But then again, I also have to say that Clarity Gaming's Saravati is actually... I know it's just a ladder game, but at the same time, he's showing his might. He's letting everybody know who he is and just what kind of house he can wreck. So, that's been it, ladies and gentlemen. I'll see you guys next time.